And this is
Rachel Pavoni.
And I have asked her permission to record this interview and share it with the class, and she says
Yes.
perfect. All right. Question number 1 is, what is the visual impairment level and prognosis?
So I have retinitis pigmentosa,
Okay.
and the level is dark.
Dark.
With a little bit of light.
Okay.
So I have light in my left eye.
Okay, light perception in your left eye.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And at what age was this vision impairment identified?
So I had, when I was like 3, they said I had cone rod dystrophy,
Okay.
which is where you're light sensitive and you have no color vision.
Okay.
So I did that, and then when I was 9, they told me I had retinitis pigmentosa and that it was progressive,
Okay.
and I'd be blind one day.
Wow. And what was your emotional reaction to that?
I didn't really know. It just started, like, they came in and they gave me a cane, and they started teaching me Braille, and I'm just like, why do I need Braille?
At
Like,
9?
what is the point?
Right.
When I was 9, they started doing
Okay.
that. This is my dog, Glory.
Yes. She's getting comfy over here. She's snuggling. Did you know any other blind or visually impaired people at that time?
Not at that time. When I was growing up, there was a girl, she's so annoying, but she lived like 20 minutes from me, so they paired us up and we were like friends.
Okay, and she was also visually impaired?
Yeah, she's visually impaired.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was friends with her for a while, and then she just got on my nerves, so
Right.
I stopped being friends with her.
Right, and that was kind of like a forced friendship anyway, so
Yeah.
like, that's kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
And what about later on, like now in life?
So I guess like my first like real, I have a lot of blind friends, but like my first real blind friend is my friend Jeff. I met him 3 years ago,
Awesome.
and we've been like best friends ever since then.
Good.
And
Where did you meet?
I met him at it was the National Federation of the Blind board chapter meeting in Flint.
Oh, cool.
He was our president.
Oh, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And like he was my first real friend. I met people. I went to Lions Bear Lake Camp
Mm-hmm.
in the summer for 10 years when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a visually impaired and blind camp, and I've met people, but I didn't really make like any close
Yeah,
friends.
a genuine connection.
Mm-hmm. I did have my friend Dakota, but he only went for a couple years, and
Okay.
then he left.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
there was him and Jeff, and then my boyfriend Steven is blind, and that's Jeff's brother.
Nice.
And I met him at where did I meet him? Oh, I met him
You
at
better remember.
yeah, I met him at National Federation of the Blind State Convention last year because it was in Kalamazoo.
Oh, okay.
So
And Jeff brought him along.
yeah, he
Awesome.
came with his brother. Yeah.
Sweet.
Mhm.
Great. Well, that's good that there's a lot of different people in your life.
Yeah.
How did your feelings change about your vision impairment throughout your lifetime? So you got your diagnosis, and you were kind of like, oh, I don't really understand it.
Mhm.
And then how did that kind of progress or grow?
So they diagnosed me when I was really little. So
Mhm.
like I didn't really understand. I just knew I was
Right.
different.
Yeah.
What was the question?
So how is your feelings about your vision impairment? How have they kind of changed throughout your lifetime?
Well, when I was a kid, I got picked on a lot because I was
Really?
different.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of made me like when I was in elementary school, and I was like probably till like 3rd or 4th grade, I didn't really notice.
Okay.
Like it just was like, oh, I just can't see. I wear these glasses and I can't see colors. Like that was pretty much it.
Like prescription glasses?
Yeah,
Okay.
these ones I have on are not prescription.
Okay.
But usually I was wearing prescription.
Okay.
But then I went blind and really like, why do we need to spend thousands of dollars on prescription when you can just buy them?
Right.
So I just wear like regular store-bought ones now.
Okay.
But basically, when I got older, I got bullied a lot because it was because I was different.
Right.
And so when I hit middle school, I didn't use my cane. I didn't like using large print. I didn't like using all these different things because I got picked on and I was just like, I want to be a normal kid.
Right, yeah, and those things made you stand out from everyone else.
Right, and then I think it was about 8th grade, like, I just kind of accepted it. I'm like, you know,
Good, yeah.
whatever. And
Yeah.
so I went on with that. And then high school was pretty much like, my vision kept getting a little worse and worse every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in marching band, and I had my
Cool.
friends in that.
Yeah.
And I tripped over a lot of things, but...
Right, and so in 8th grade was when you started using your cane regularly?
Yeah,
Or
like
you-
I used it regularly, and
right,
like
and
I...
continued to use it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I was in high school, like, we traveled with our marching band,
Mm-hmm.
so like I'd always bring my cane.
Okay.
So
Well, that's good.
people knew I was blind.
Right. So did anyone provide any sort of counseling for that transition, or were they like, well, here's your diagnosis, and then you yourself kind of had to work through everything?
Well, because I didn't really realize it,
Yeah.
I think more of like when I was older, like I had cataract surgery my senior year of high school.
Wow.
I went in to get my eyes checked to get a prescription, and they said, oh, you have 2 huge cataracts. We can barely see your retina.
Wow.
You need to go get them taken out. So we scheduled surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and I went in and I got the surgery done. Well, I came out and I couldn't see out of one eye when they did the first
Really?
eye.
Wow.
It was really blurry on that side, and so
Yeah.
when they did the second eye, and I'm like, well, maybe they'll balance out.
Right.
It never balanced out.
Wow.
And I lost all of my vision within 6 months of having that surgery.
Really? So do you think the surgery like advanced it?
Well, what happened is because I'm photophobic,
Right.
so I have light problems already,
Right.
and when you get the cataracts taken out, it just makes it worse.
Right. Yeah.
And we went to the eye doctor that next like winter after I had my surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Oh, you have optic nerve drusen." So
Oh,
it's,
yeah. I learned about that.
yeah,
in phys.
they're like particles that come
Yeah,
off your optic nerve,
calcium. Yeah.
and they go into your retina.
Yeah. And your macula.
Yeah. hmm So like clouds everything up, and they said I've had
Right.
it my whole life, but when they took out the cataract, it made it worse.
Really?
It like
Wow.
opened up a Band-Aid.
Oh, okay. Like ripped off the scab, kind
Yeah.
of. Just like, huh. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's why I lost all my vision, and now I went from where I could see light to barely seeing light.
Okay. Huh.
So.
Interesting.
hmm
Do you have any memories about how your parents responded to that diagnosis?
My mom, when I was younger, was really protective.
Really?
Like I could see enough where I could play outside, but like I'd play basketball and we had a driveway that was a hill.
Yeah.
My ball would roll down the driveway all the
Right.
time, and my mom's like, "Don't go across the street and get it. She's afraid I get hit by a car."
Right. Yeah.
And when I'm like 8 or 9, I'm like, I'm old enough to cross the
Yeah.
street.
You don't have to tell me what to do.
Yeah,
Right.
and my mom, like, as I got older, and she saw that, like, if she keeps me in this box, I'm never gonna leave.
Right.
She kind of was like, oh, I'm just gonna let her do what she does, and
Yeah.
like, she'd watch me.
Right.
But it got to the point where now I'm just like, I do what I want to do. I
Good.
don't
Yeah.
really pay attention.
Oh gosh.
Well, no, I pay attention.
I'm like Rachel.
Yeah, I pay attention.
Right, but you don't let it stop you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
hmm
You've got that independence.
Yeah.
Awesome. What kind of services did you receive in an educational setting? So we talked a little bit about your CCTVs, but like elementary school and middle school, what kind of?
So in elementary school, like my TCV, I would label like my crayons and markers and stuff because I
Mhm.
couldn't see colors.
Okay.
And when I was in elementary school, we would take the lights. Like they always put me in a corner of the room, and they'd take the light bulb out of that light
Oh wow.
because I was
okay.
photophobic and
Yeah.
I like the dark.
Right. Right. The vampire.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So they did that, and then when I started getting like all my books were in large print, so like I was
Okay.
the kid who had the books that were 3 times the size of everybody else's.
Right. Yeah. So your
Yeah.
biceps were probably really big carrying those around.
Well, no, I was so short that
Yeah.
I had to stand.
Oh
I
no.
hated going from the top of the page to the bottom. Like I'd do math, and like half the time I'd be standing there
Right.
because I was so short I couldn't
Yeah.
reach it.
Right. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So that was kind of annoying.
Yeah. That's funny. Wow.
So I had that, and then in middle school they just kept doing that, and I started with the CCTVs.
Okay.
And then when I was in high school, they did the same. I used more regular sized books and things like that under the CCTV.
Right.
Which was better, but the thing is like I was still struggling in school because I could only see like parts of the text
right
at a time.
Yeah.
So like I'm really good at math. I'd go to math, and like my teachers, like she would let me like look through my quizzes after she'd give them to me in high school, because all my teachers did it, because they're like, you just missed like this plus sign or this minus sign.
Yeah.
Like you missed it, or you misplaced this number. And I had a teacher my senior year who told me, she's like, you're really good at math. If you could see the whole page and the whole problem at once, you would be even better at math. And
oh, really?
yeah, I'm like,
you think so?
Yeah.
That's nice of you. Wow.
Because I blew it up like, well, I didn't blow it up, but I enlarged it.
Right. There we go.
Like
UVRT.
3 to 4 times its size, so
Right.
you could only see so much at a time.
Right. Yeah.
And I went into college and I had a Braille math book for the first time.
Wow. How was that?
It was interesting, but I got A's in all of my math classes in college because I could see the whole problem at one time.
Yeah, you could read it.
So I went back to high school and I told her, I said, I don't think you remember, but you told me if I could see the whole problem at one time, I'd be really good at math. And I said, I've taken 3 math classes in college and I've gotten A's in all of them because I could see the whole problem.
Yeah. How'd it go? What'd she say?
She was like, wow, I guess I was right. Like, yeah.
I mean, well, and it's funny because, like, you should, I mean, probably shouldn't, but, like, what it makes me want to do is, like, give her the quiz and cover up half the problem and say, okay, what's the answer? You know, like, obviously it's going to be easier when you can see the whole page at once and whatever, but that's not the case, you know?
No, she was a good math teacher, though, so it wasn't, like, insulting to me.
Okay.
It made me motivated.
Right, good.
And then I used, when I was in elementary school, I forgot to mention this, I used, like, the dome and the long rectangular magnifiers. And I used one of the electronic ones.
Okay, like a handheld?
Yeah, it's called a Pico.
Okay.
It's an older one, and it had 2 buttons. It had on and off, and then it had where you could go from, like, black and white to, or, like, white on black to black on white, and that was it.
Kind of flip it around. Awesome. So what do you think helped the most? Like, between all of those, the least helpful and the most helpful of
The
those
least
services?
helpful were the magnifiers, because I liked the black background with the white letters.
Okay, yeah.
The most helpful was the CCTVs, because I had 6 of them when I was in high school.
Wow.
Or actually, I had 6 of them.
Wow. That's
I had
awesome.
one in all of my classes, and then there was one in the the student services room,
Right.
where I spent like 80% of my time in class because it took me longer to do things.
Okay.
So I'd always be a little bit behind of what they're teaching.
Right. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And have you received any services related to employment of any type?
So the Bureau of Services for Blind Persons, they gave me a work study when I was 14.
Okay.
And I worked at that place for 2 days, and they laid me off. So that was
Really?
good. Yeah.
Right. What was the place that you were working at?
It was a snack shop in Flint, and I worked there for 2 days, and then I went to camp, and I came back. And I called and I said, I'm back, when do you want me to work? And she's like, oh, sorry, we don't have a job for you anymore. I'm like, oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I've done that, and then I've worked at a couple camps, and the BSBP has a company they work with
Right.
that will pay my wages. And I did that this summer twice.
And how was that?
It was good. I worked at sports camp for the blind,
Love it.
and I got paid for that. And then I worked at it's called Bell Academy, and they take it's run through the National Federation of the Blind,
Okay.
and they take the little kids and we put them in basically like a Braille camp for a week.
Oh, cool.
And it's like a school type environment. Like you show up at 8 or 9, and then you're done by 4 or 5.
Oh, wow, yeah. Huh.
And I liked that. That was a lot of fun.
Good. So, Do you feel like you received a lot of help in that, in that area of employment, or would you have liked more?
I do think they're helpful, and like if you want to be employed, they're all about trying to help you to get employed.
Well, that's good.
So I do like that aspect of it.
So do you feel like it's you having to reach out and ask for the help as opposed to them coming and saying, let's get you a job?
Yeah, because basically when you're in school, they try to get you to work because, you know, you can work part-time and you can do classes and it's really good.
Yeah.
But a lot of students don't want it, but you have to ask for it.
Okay.
Which I think is important because it's advocating for you want to work.
Right.
And like me, I just asked my counselor for the BSBP if I could have a job next semester, and he's like, well, where do you want to work? What do you want to do? And they ask you questions.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Right. So that advocating for yourself is
That's
super
one
important.
of my big mottos, that and Braille. Those are my two big...
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us about them. What do you mean by that?
So in schools, especially in colleges with blind people, they don't advocate for the things they need. So you can have a kid, there's an example of a kid, he had a class, and he needed a textbook. Well, he didn't ask the people for the textbook in an accessible format. He just struggled through the class.
Wow, yeah.
People will do that now in colleges, and it's better for you to go and ask for what you need than to struggle through it.
Right, 100%.
And I like Braille because it's a dying language. It's a dying form.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be able to read it because, you know, in elevators now they have it.
Right.
They've had it in elevators. They have it on signs, like for the bathroom and stuff. I'm like,
right.
You at least need to know the basic alphabet.
Right.
Cause
yeah, you can't always get everything in audio or voiceover or whatever you need. Right. Well, good. And lastly, what advice would you give to new teachers of the blind and visually impaired? So, when I get out there next fall...
Wait, what?
The biggest piece of advice you would give to me as a future TCVI?
Okay, one, just find a job, because we need people... We need people in that department.
Yeah.
There's a shortage.
Yeah. All right. Step one. Use your degree.
Yeah. Use the degree.
Right.
Step two would be don't base every child on the same. They need the same things.
Okay.
Because every child is gonna need something different.
Right.
And a lot of the teachers will go in and they'll be like, well, I have this student who has the same eye condition as this other student. And, oh, he uses a CCTV, so she should use a CCTV.
Right.
Depending on their acuity and, like, what they like, they might both want different things.
Right, yeah.
So it's basically more of evaluating every single situation instead of comparing the situations.
Okay. Yeah, that's
And then the third thing would be, ask your students what they need help with. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
My TCVI in school helped me a lot with math and science because with all of the equations and all of that, she would take lessons that wouldn't be around Braille to help me with that because I was struggling.
Right.
So look outside of the blindness, identity. They may have struggles somewhere else that you can help them with.
Right. Huh, that's a good point.
So you're using both degrees. You're using the VI part and the teaching part.
Yeah, exactly. Huh, good. Well, good. Is there anything else you'd like to share or add or anything about your condition or diagnosis? Or...
The one thing I would like to say is that when... The word of the wise is if you have a kid that loses all their vision very suddenly like I did, I was older, so I just kind of accepted it.
Right.
But one of the big things is that my TCVIs, I had great TCVI and O&M people when I was in school. And that's the reason why I'm going into vision rehab therapy. Right. Because I got good skills, and there's kids that aren't as fortunate as me
Right.
to have the skills. And if you have a kid that goes through a drastic change like that, make sure they're okay before you start piling on, here's Braille, here's this cane technique, here's this, because they're going to need that time.
Right, because before their vision impairment, they're still just a human, you know.
Right.
They need time to work through that.
And if you work with them a lot, like my TCVI was like another, like one of my aunts or uncles to me, because I just spent so much time with them.
Right, yeah.
And you should have that interaction if you're a student, because then they
100%.
can trust you.
Right, yeah, that relationship is a big part, really big part of the teaching process and just interaction in general. Well, awesome. Thanks, Rachel. I appreciate your time and your lovely dog that's just got her head rested on my leg. Awesome.